He took billions of dollars from people, and now Bernie Madoff's wife says he also tried to take his life.
We decided to kill ourselves.
The apple apparently doesn't fall too far from the tree. Lindsay Lohan's dad busted again. And speaking of apples, a family outing at an orchard leads to this phone call.
Yes, we're in the honey pot orchard, and we can't find our way out.
I felt like an idiot. I really felt stupid. And I hate being lost.
Your independent news network starts right now. Good evening, everyone. I'm Mike Mickle. Welcome to INN News. We begin with a bombshell regarding one of the country's most hated men. Bernie Madoff is serving a 150-year prison sentence for the infamous $50 billion Ponzi scheme. Now his wife Ruth says she and her husband attempted suicide a few years ago. She tells the shocking story in an interview with CBS's 60 Minutes, set to broadcast Sunday.
We decided to kill ourselves because it was so horrendous what was happening. We had terrible phone calls, hate mail, just beyond anything. And I said, I just can't go on anymore.
That was on Christmas Eve 2008. She says they took a combination of pills, including the sleep aid Ambien, but they ended up waking up the next day. In December of last year, the Madoff son, Mark, committed suicide. NATO's role in Libya's war is just about over. The UN Security Council voted unanimously to remove its mandate for military intervention. That earlier authorization, approved back in March, allowed NATO to launch an airstrike and enforce a no-fly zone. Today's ruling will effectively end NATO's mission in Libya as of Monday. The governor of Bangkok, Thailand, says people in the city must brace themselves for the highest water levels yet. People living in the Thai capital are being urged to leave amid warnings the city could be submerged under several feet of water. Floods in Thailand have killed more than 373 people. Days after a devastating earthquake in eastern Turkey, help is arriving for survivors. Turkish officials are appealing to the international community for donations of tents and prefabricated houses for people left homeless by Sunday's earthquake. Rescuers pulled 2 more survivors from collapsed buildings yesterday. Nearly 500 people have been killed in the 7.2 magnitude quake. Hurricane Rina has weakened to a tropical storm as it approaches the coast of Mexico. It is still expected to bring heavy rain and big waves to the popular resort city of Cancun. Many tourists cut short their vacation and took flights home, but most were unable to leave.
And I've never been through anything like this before. But I'm hopeful that the resort I'm staying at is going to take really good care of us.
Imagine spending 7 days in this raft with 8 other people. The U.S. Border Patrol says 9 Cubans did just that, arriving on a Florida beach before sunrise yesterday. Someone saw them coming and contacted authorities, who took them into custody. Understandably, they were hungry, thirsty, and tired. The 9 will now go before an immigration judge in Miami. Under U.S. policy, Cubans escaping their homeland are usually allowed to stay in the U.S. if they manage to get here by water. And that's your Global News Now.
And this is our CEO, Rod Phillips, Mr. Barone. Rod, welcome to Center. Congratulations.
Won Ontario's $50 million lottery. Now, no one else has won that much in a single ticket in the Lotto Max draw. The 73-year-old former mechanic has 4 children and 4 grandkids. By the way, if you're not envious enough that he won, the Canadian federal government doesn't tax lottery winnings. Well, the wealthy are getting even more wealthy, and the dead keep on earning. Ryan Bass gets back to business.
Fewer drivers are hitting the roads these days. The Department of Transportation says travel on U.S. roadways is down. In fact, it's at its lowest level since 2003. In the first 8 months of the year, it's down 26 billion vehicle miles. That's compared to last year. Higher gas prices get part of the blame. The nation's rich just keep on getting richer. The top 1% of earners saw their incomes nearly quadruple over the past 3 decades. But the middle class didn't fare as well. The Congressional Budget Office reports their incomes rose by less than 40%. And the dead just keep on earning. Forbes put out a list of the top deceased moneymakers, and for the 2nd year in a row, Michael Jackson tops the list. The King of Pop's estate made $170 million in the past 12 months, down more than $100 million from last year. Elvis Presley is a distant second with $55 million, while Marilyn Monroe is third, earning $27 million. For your Back to Business, I'm Ryan Bass.
Well, just in time for the holiday shopping season, Neiman Marcus will now take Visa and MasterCard. The department store used to only accept cash, American Express, or its own store card. It's all part of a push to grab younger customers. November 1st is the day you will notice the change. The retailer already accepts their credit cards online. Well, it's a sign of the tough economic times. More people are defaulting on their student loans, and it can impact other students as well. Laura Forbes explains.
Many students may think a degree is the path to a good-paying job, a time to pay off the debt they racked up getting that education.
If you come out with a really good paying job, that's great, but obviously in this economy, that's not always been the situation.
Now more and more students are defaulting. Server says in some cases they take out extra money for a car or a costly apartment. He says those may be necessary to finish school, but aren't appropriate for a student loan.
I've had friends over the years when they attended college borrow a whole lot more than what they really needed to have to get through college, and then they wind up with all that student loan debt at the end. And in some cases I've seen it be situations that wound up in bankruptcies.
The problem can impact other students hoping to get loans.
If they've got a high default rate, it can mean that lenders won't lend to those particular schools, and is particularly a problem for two-year institutions and for-profit colleges.
He says at Evansville Federal Credit Union, they loan money to students just to make up the difference in what they can't get otherwise.
We encourage students to qualify for all the federal aid that they can get.
That was Laura Forbes reporting. Oil company BP will be allowed to drill in the Gulf of Mexico again. It's earned its first permits and will resume drilling soon. The government says BP has met enhanced safety standards put in place after last year's deadly explosion and massive spill. In April of 2010, there was an explosion on BP's Deepwater Horizon rig. 11 workers were killed. Millions of barrels of oil flooded the Gulf. BP's new site is 250 miles off the coast of New Orleans and will have a total of 5 wells. Well, for the second time this week, Lindsay Lohan's dad is behind bars. Michael Lohan just got out of jail yesterday, but early this morning, he was back in again. Tampa police say Lohan's girlfriend said he called her, violating the terms of his probation. They went to Lohan's motel to arrest him, but say he jumped off a balcony to try to escape. He wasn't hurt. Authorities quickly caught up with him. Well, admitting you're lost and need help can be embarrassing, but that's exactly what a Boston meteorologist and his wife had to do after losing their bearings in an apple orchard.
Still police recorded line? Yes, we're in the honey pot orchard. And we can't find our way out.
I said, my problem is I'm holding this heavy bag of apples, and we're walking for eternity, and we're never going to find our car because you're wrong, and you're leading me down the wrong path.
Mark Rosenthal and his wife Marcia couldn't find their way back to their car after apple picking. They wandered for a long time before his wife finally called for help. It was the first in the family-run orchard's 85-year history that someone got lost. Well, some of you are getting a little frost on the pumpkins. Others, an entire snowstorm, where this storm hit, knocking out power to more than 100,000 people. Plus, if you have a baby born next week, he or she could help the world reach a major milestone. 7 billion and counting. And taking some of the scary out of Halloween with some safety tips. INN continues after this.